90 Day The Last Resort star Jasmine Pineda recently got candid about her current relationship with Matt Branis, the father of her newborn daughter, Matilda affectionately called Maddie. Fans last saw Jasmine on Season 2 of the spin-off, where she appeared with her then fiancé Gino Palazzolo in an effort to mend their intimacy struggles. The couple ultimately decided to explore an open marriage, bringing Matt into the dynamic as Jasmine's new sexual partner. However, that bold experiment didn't pan out as hoped. Their arrangement collapsed, and in a surprising turn of events, Jasmine became pregnant by Matt. After keeping her due date private for months, Jasmine finally announced the birth of baby Matilda in late March, sharing the joyful news in early April. Despite the dramatic journey, Jasmine and Matt are now navigating parenthood as co-parents, not romantic partners. While she describes Matt as a helpful and involved father, Jasmine recently revealed she doesn't fully trust him to care for their daughter during the night. In a recent Instagram story, Jasmine opened up about her strict nighttime parenting style. "I'm the only person allowed to take care of her at night," she shared. "Dad has offered multiple times and even suggested hiring doulas, but my answer is, no thanks." Jasmine continued, "After I feed her, I make her burp and then wait 25 minutes before laying her down." Her reasoning: Jasmine has a firm no-crying policy and wants full control over her daughter's nighttime routine. Her protective instincts stem from deep-rooted trust issues, something 90 Day fans have seen play out before, especially during her relationship with Gino. Jasmine's love for her children is fierce, and her priority is always their well-being. She's also working hard to earn a living and hopes to one day bring her 2 sons to the U.S. for a better future. While she remains cautious, Jasmine does acknowledge Matt's efforts. He's been consistently supportive, helping with household chores and showing up as a hands-on father. He's made it clear that he's committed to both Jasmine and their baby, stepping up in any way he can to give Jasmine time to rest. Still, Jasmine admits she struggles to believe anyone can care for Matilda as well as she can. Even after more than a year of knowing Matt, trust continues to be a hurdle. That said, both parents appear dedicated to raising Matilda in a loving and supportive environment, even if they're still figuring things out along the way. Jasmine's story is a raw and honest look into the complexities of modern co-parenting, especially when trust doesn't come easily. But one thing's clear: she's putting her daughter's needs first and doing everything she can to be the best mom possible. Just when fans thought the story of 90 Day Fiancé couple Rob and Sophie's era was over, their unexpected post-breakup twist during 90 Day. The Last Resort tell-all proved otherwise. Rob, an LA native, and Sophie, a fashion-forward Brit, first captured attention when they took their Instagram love offline and brought it to the small screen. Their long-distance romance had all the ingredients for drama: cultural differences, family disapproval, money issues, and major trust problems. The couple appeared not only on the main 90 Day Fiancé series, but also on Happily Ever After, before trying one last time to save their rocky marriage on The Last Resort Season 2. At the start of The Last Resort, Rob and Sophie were already separated. Still, they agreed to give couples therapy a shot in hopes of rekindling their relationship. Things looked hopeful at times, but when it came time for the pivotal recommitment ceremony, the fairy tale crumbled. Rob was ready to recommit. Sophie wasn't. "He's just not my dream man," she admitted tearfully, walking away from the marriage and leaving Rob heartbroken. After filming wrapped, the couple went completely silent, no contact for months. But just when it seemed like they'd closed the chapter for good, the tell-all revealed a surprising plot twist. Rob and Sophie had been intimate after the show. When host Sean Robinson asked if they'd been together sexually since leaving the resort, both Rob and Sophie smiled coyly. Sophie finally spilled the tea. "We hadn't spoken for months, but then, out of nowhere, we just started having sex." The cast and the audience burst into knowing laughter. Apparently, no one was shocked. Things got even juicier when Sophie revealed she had a brand new surgical enhancement to show off, and she took Rob behind the curtain backstage to give him a private peek at her new breasts. And yes, he went willingly. Sophie and Rob also opened up about reconnecting as friends after the show, even taking a trip to Disneyland together. Rob, ever the hopeful romantic, said he was treating her like a friend, but admitted he was still clinging to the possibility of something more. Not long after the theme park visit, the hookups began. According to Sophie, we were hooking up a lot for a few months. But the steamy reconnection didn't lead to reconciliation. Sophie eventually called it off, realizing the physical closeness was emotionally confusing, especially since they had no plans to get back together. It wasn't healthy for me, she confessed. By the time they reunited on stage for the tell-all, they hadn't seen each other in a while, but the chemistry was still undeniable. There was no bitterness, just playful banter and a little flirtation. Rob admitted, it's a weird place to be. She walked away and trying to move on, and now she's being all sweet again. It's confusing. Sophie revealed she's been focusing on herself since the retreat, calling it a self-love journey. But even she couldn't help feeling stung when she found out Rob had started dating another British woman. He found another girl just like me, she said. Rob chuckled, saying it was just a coincidence, but added her being British wasn't exactly a green flag. So, are Rob and Sophie over for good? Maybe. Maybe not. But one thing's for sure. When it comes to 90-Day Fiancé drama, these two know how to keep fans guessing. 90-Day Fiancé star Ariella Weinberg shared her experience with self-harm, revealing that the scars on her arms are a reminder of her past struggles. Fans noticed scars during the 90-Day. The last resort tell-all after fans noticed the scars on her arms during part 3 of the 90-Day. The last resort tell-all in April 2025, she directly addressed the speculation by providing a YouTube link where she spoke about the scars at length in 2021. The 90-Day Fiancé alum explained that as a young child, she was concerned about deep topics like morality and the meaning of life, which she said set her apart from kids her age. She explained that she didn't have a large friend group and learned about self-harm in middle school after another kid said it made him feel better. I was curious about it and I asked him, oh, what do you mean it makes you feel better? He couldn't really explain it to me, so I decided I wanted to feel better, too, Ariella explained. That night I went home, got one of those Gillette disposable razors, and I tried it. Ariella said that after a few times, she would get a weird sensation that felt like a sense of release. Now I understand and have read that when you face an injury, many times your brain will be flooded with endorphins as sort of a compensatory measure, she explained. At the time, all I knew I was suffering a lot. I was very unhappy in this thing that I had seen this boy do at school was making me feel better. The self-harm wasn't limited to her injuring herself with razors. I would burn myself. I would restrict my food. I would subject myself to extreme weather without a jacket. I would make myself sleep on the floor, she continued. I was really, really awful and terrible to myself. I did not treat myself the way that I should have. The 90-Day Fiancé. The other way alum said she was put on different medicines throughout her youth, but none of them worked. She said things changed when she began to see her oddities as a strength and began to channel her nervous energy into positive things like diet and exercise. I was focused at the time on my own unhappiness that I wasn't able to see that I had so many opportunities to help other people, she continued. If I could say anything to my teenage self now, I would say you are so young, you have everything ahead of you. Anything that you could possibly want to do, you can do it. The problem is that you can't see anything, you're stuck here. But there's this whole big world out there. Ariella encouraged her followers that the suffering was not forever and that they would eventually find peace. You are not alone, you will feel better, she signed off. The pain will go away. Rumors about Cara Bass and Guillermo Royer's marital status have been flying for months. The 90-Day Fiancé couple debuted their storyline in Season 9 and shared all the ups and downs leading up to their wedding day. Since their season ended, Cara and Guillermo's off-camera activity has 90-Day Fiancé fans scratching their heads. Cara and Guillermo lead completely different lives on social media, not including each other in their posts. In fact, it looks as though they've completely scrubbed all photos of themselves together from their Instagram feeds. Cara's posts are centered around her music career, while Guillermo mostly posts photos and videos of himself and their son Nico. In addition, Cara released a breakup song in 2023, intensifying the gossip surrounding a possible divorce. The couple is currently sharing their personal lives with viewers in Season 6 of 90-Day Diaries, and in their debut episode, things were rocky between them. During a kayaking day date, Guillermo revealed that he had put in his 2 weeks' notice at his hotel supervisor job and was planning on going to school to become a commercial pilot. The news shocked Cara, who wasn't happy that Guillermo hadn't consulted her first or devised a plan to pay for tuition and bills and supply their family with insurance. "So you're gonna quit your job. You're gonna go to school, make $0. What's your plan?" Kara asked when Guillermo dropped the bomb on her. During her solo confessional, Kara admitted she was furious and called Guillermo's decision shocking. Their episode raised even more eyebrows surrounding their relationship status. Rumors are already swirling that Kara and Guillermo have split, and their latest 90-Day Diaries episode reveals major tension in their marriage. So, is it safe to say they're gone in their separate ways? That's not so clear. Kara and Guillermo continue to live seemingly separate lives on Instagram anyway and haven't responded to fans' onslaught of questions about whether they're still together. However, Kara may have dropped a hint in her latest Instagram story. The Virginia native uploaded a quote from The Scattered Feelings that read, "The right people make you feel seen, heard, loved, worthy, and valued." In a tiny caption at the bottom of her story, Kara added that part. Kara's caption could mean one of two things. It could be a subtle dig at Guillermo for failing to make her feel seen, heard, loved, worthy, and valued, or it could mean that Guillermo is doing exactly that. Kara and Guillermo started off on the wrong foot in their latest 90-Day Diaries episode, and things didn't improve much despite Kara taking some time to cool off. Kara came around to Guillermo's suggestion that they attend an informational tour at a local pilot school and went into it with an open mind. But she flipped her lid when she learned that tuition would cost about $50,000. Kara wasn't confident that Guillermo would find a job that would pay their bills and cover his tuition. Guillermo thought Kara was being pessimistic and didn't have the right outlook about it. Kara fired back, "So you want me to just go through life and not think about the pros and cons of the good and bad, or how it may work, or how it may affect our family?" "Yes," was Guillermo's response. Kara continued to plead her case, responding, "Yeah, that's the life you live. That's the lane that you live in. I don't live that way. You live in a fairy tale land." But when Kara witnessed Guillermo's excitement as they sat in the cockpit of a plane, she realized there was no going back in his mind. "I love him, and I feel like I don't have any choice but to support him," she confessed. At the 90-Day The Last Resort Tell-All, one of the biggest plot points revolved around Virginia native Brandon Gibbs and his Russian bride, Julia Trubkina, and their ongoing battles with his parents, Ron and Betty Gibbs. Ron and Betty were around from the beginning of Brandon and Julia's relationship, supporting their son as he brought Julia to the U.S. to start a life together. It wasn't all smooth sailing, as Julia's past as a go-go dancer and her dislike of the country life caused problems for the entire Gibbs family. Brandon and Julia first appeared on 90 Day Fiancé and 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, before making their way to 90 Day, the last resort to participate in couples counseling to improve their marriage. As their relationship progressed, more issues, like Julia's desire to bring her family to the U.S. and Julia's reluctance to have a baby, caused cracks in their marriage, so Julia and Brandon went to the last resort to try and fix things. They stayed together at the end, but at the tell-all, Julia dropped a major bombshell that shook Brandon to his core. Brandon told host Sean Robinson that he felt like their time at the resort was beneficial for their marriage, as they were able to recommit themselves to each other. He did mention, however, that since they've returned home, he felt like Julia had begun prioritizing herself over the marriage, which she confirmed, saying, "I did, and did not regret this." Brandon and his parents, who appeared on the tell-all via video from a cruise they were on, seemed to roll their eyes at this. When Sean questioned Julia about something that happened during a hypnotherapy session on the resort, Julia seemed uncomfortable. During the session, Julia confessed that she'd kissed an ex while she was still dating Brandon. Then, the tell-all shows a clip of 90 Day, the last resort between the sheets, where Julia confessed to yet another infidelity. She was talking to someone else while she was working at a resort in Russia, while also with Brandon. She didn't elaborate, but in the clip, she told Sophie Sierra she'd tell her more off camera. Brandon looked stricken after all of this came to light. Sean asks Julia straight up what happened with the guy at the resort. She said they kissed. Jasmine Pineda asked what kind of kissing, but Julia wouldn't say. When asked if this was all news to him, Brandon said Julia is confirming what he thought. He said they were already engaged at this point, and had already filed paperwork to bring her to the U.S. He shook his head as he realized the timing of everything. The women in the cast defend Julia as she explains that at the time this occurred, she and Brandon were not in a good place. They'd fought, and she thought they were done. When Julia remembered that Brandon's parents are listening in, she looked nervous. When Sean asked Ron and Betty what they thought about the revelations about Julia, they were surprisingly soft on her. They've been very critical of Julia throughout her relationship with Brandon, and it's been a major source of contention for the couple. Ron and Betty were disappointed, no doubt, but they believe it was a mistake and that she and Brandon should move forward. You chose Brandon, so you gotta put it behind you. Brandon's parents said that Julia wasn't sure about her future with Brandon at that time, so they chalked it up to a mistake that Brandon should move past. Ron and Betty both agree they should move forward and recommit to their relationship. This is one time when his parents are on my side. One time, first time actually. As all this played out, Brandon sat there, shocked and looking on the verge of tears. Julia had been faithful since being in the U.S., but Brandon still wanted an apology from her, so she gave him a hug and everyone clapped for them. It may not look like a happy ending for Brandon and Julia, but at least it's a good time for a fresh start. During the 90-day The Last Resort tell-all, Josh said he never invited Natalie to his home because of her comments about his ex-wife. Josh Weinstein of 90 Day Fiancé is no longer married to Candace Mishler, but that doesn't mean he's going to let other people talk ill of the mother of his child. In the April 14th episode of 90 Day, The Last Resort, Josh blamed the breakdown of his relationship with Natalie Mordov-Siva on her rants about his parenting skills and her comments about his ex-wife. Josh and Natalie called it quits in Season 2 of the 90 Day spin-off, but they briefly rekindled their physical relationship after filming ended, he revealed during Part 3 of the tell-all. However, Josh soon called things off again after Natalie lashed out at him on social media. What really kind of sealed the deal was when Natalie went on social media rants that were false allegations, basically calling me a bad father, he said. Josh's refusal to invite Natalie to his house was another issue for the couple. But he told Tell All host Sean Robinson that he had a good reason for not wanting to bring Natalie, whom he refused to call his girlfriend, into his home. It came down to Natalie calling my ex-wife names, calling her a hooker, calling her all of these names, he said. I really value the relationship with my kids' mothers, and Natalie was a threat to that, he added. And that is the reason Natalie never came over to my house. Natalie denied disparaging Josh's ex. She claimed she only spoke out after Candace attacked her in interviews and on social media. Josh responded by calling Natalie a liar and a scam artist. Josh and Natalie's blow-up will likely continue in Part 4 of The Last Resort tell-all. Meanwhile, Candace, who has a reality TV career of her own, has not weighed in on the drama. Fans of Discovery Channel's survival series Naked and Afraid will recognize Candace, who appeared on that show and its spin-off, Naked and Afraid, Castaways, in 2023. She was also seen with Josh on 90 Day Fiancé. The Single Life. Mishler told In Touch that her experience filming 90 Day did not prepare her for Naked and Afraid. We know where we're going, and we know what the storyline is supposed to look like, she said of the TLC series. Whereas, Naked and Afraid is just real. It's raw, it's in the moment. They're completely different pages. As Josh was dealing with his dysfunctional relationship with Natalie, he and Candace were also navigating a serious situation involving their son, Jet. In February 2024, Jet was involved in a car accident. He was seriously injured and had to have one leg amputated, and the other passenger died. 2 weeks ago, our lives came to a standstill as Jet was involved in a tragic car accident, Josh wrote in a post that was also shared on Candace's Instagram. As we hit the 2-week mark, we have been through every emotion imaginable and still have a long journey ahead. We appreciate all the love, thoughts, and prayers. They have helped so much. This is the beginning of Jet's story and what he was meant to achieve and accomplish, and I truly believe that. He is meant for something great, and though this may be a minor setback, we will accomplish greatness.